The significance behind this Martin Luther King Remembrance Day is it provides a chance for us to pay tribute to one of mankind's great human leaders, independent of race. He was able to mobilize and organize millions from an array of backgrounds and walks of life and propelled them towards tremendous feats. He's a testament to what an individual can do in terms of impacting change.
In his own land.
The I Have a Dream speech to me shows a man who's not afraid to stand up for what he believes in, and it shows a man who's willing to stand up against great odds, social injustices, for a cause that's bigger than himself. It's driven by his love for his family and an attempt to change the world to make it a better place.
We must forever conduct our struggle on the high plane of dignity and discipline.
We are not at a point yet in our history that everyone's equal, and that's a fact right now. We need days like today to remind us of the struggles that we went through to get to where we are, for people to have opportunities, but we can't be complacent. We need to keep fighting, and days like today remind us that we need to keep fighting.
We cannot turn back. There are those who are asking the devotees of civil rights.
As a military member, his speech came to life because it gives me the opportunity to work hand in hand with other forces and get an understanding from all backgrounds, not just my background, or Korean forces, working Japanese forces, Iraqi forces. We just all have a better understanding and treat each other fairly, not just look at you like, oh, you're this type of person, so I'm gonna treat you this way. No, everybody's treated fairly.
How this situation can and will be changed.
What the I Have a Dream speech means to me, it was this way of him going about saying what's wrong with America. But the thing is that was different is that he had sources cited. He said, this is what was promised in the Emancipation Proclamation, this is what was promised in the Declaration of Independence, but yet here we are, and there's not equal rights, there's not equal freedoms, and he's bringing that to the attention of everyone and saying that this is wrong and this needs to be fixed.
In the American dream, I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident.
As a military member, Martin Luther King Jr.'s speech lives on every day through the military. Compared to what it was back then, there is no segregation now. Therefore, we can actually work together and function as one unit and defend the U.S.
Speech is very evident in the military because we're more diverse in this military today than we ever have been. And if you think about it, back in the day, the jobs that we see being done now, some people may not have even had that opportunity or may not even thought that we'd get to a point where they would be doing those jobs. And now we see people working side by side, no matter what their skin color, their race is, and not even just in the work center, but outside the work center. You have African American Heritage Council, you have Hispanic Heritage Council that come together and educate folks on the base about, cultural diversity.
The first word I think of when I hear Martin Luther King Jr. is courage. I think it took a substantial amount of courage to stand against such opposition and extreme hatred.
Equality. His speech is pretty much based off of equality, looking for fairness of all men, not just one race.
He taught us that you can get more accomplished peacefully than violently. You're more likely to change people's minds if you do it peacefully than if you do it violently.
When I think of Dr. King, the first word I think of is immovable. And I say immovable because he was not shaken by anything. So he knew what he stood for. He fought for our country, black and white, to be able to come together. And he was not shaken by the threats that came at him or by, just the terror that people were trying to put against him. He stood up and he said, this is what I see. I see a vision for our country, and I'm going to fight for it.
And Catholics will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last.